Hey, what's up everybody? It's Carlos Collects Comics and I'm back with another video. This is our second episode of Monday Hauls. This is a recap of all the pickups that I've had from the last week, and I just wanted to share those with you, maybe give you a couple recommendations and let you see what I'm getting a hold of. So here we go. All right, everybody. So here we go. We're getting started. I've got two major hauls to share with you today. The first is going to be from my local comic shop. Some of the pickups that I made this past week and a half as I went through for New Comic Book Day, and also grabbed a couple back issues that I'll share with you. And the second one that I'm going to share is from a Facebook claim sale, where a seller tags you in their post and they share all the different books in comments, and you just go through and you try to, as fast as you can, claim the books that you would like. And so these books for that stack I'm going to share with you have been accumulating over the past 3 to 4 weeks. So it's quite a few books. Don't think that I just buy that many books in 1 week. I don't. It just, they all happened to come in this week, so I included it. Plus, there were some cool freebies. So here we go. All right, local comic shop day, or New Comic Book Day. The books that I picked up for this week, there are a couple. Okay, so Two Moons, #2, cover A, this just came out this week, and I haven't had a chance to read #1, so I can't recommend it or not to you. But I do think it's one of those ones that independent titles have been killing it this year. The past year, a little over a year, year and a half, independent titles have been killing it. And Two Moons, just from the premise alone, was something that I wanted to pick up. Crossover, issue #5. This is just the cover A. I've been reading Crossover. I was really excited about issue 1, and just each issue, my excitement's gotten a little bit lower. So I'm going to give it one more issue and see how it goes and how strong it is, but it's just not quite there. So as far as a recommendation, what I would say is pick up a later printing of issue #1, or you might even be able to find for a fairly low price, close to cover, one of the cover A's, because it was a heavily printed book. Read issue 1. If you really like it and respond well to it, pick up the next couple, but it's yeah, it hasn't quite been as strong as I'd hoped. Erratic #1. I found another copy at my LCS. They had I guess a few more on the rack, and I really enjoyed it. I like it. I've been reading it. I'm enjoying this. I feel like the story's getting stronger, and I feel like it's a neat character. So I do recommend picking up Erratic. You can find all of the main covers for issues 1 through 4 to date, for generally close to cover price. There are a couple variants that are out there that you might consider, like if you're really into it. I went ahead and picked those up, but I do recommend Erratic. Detective Comics #1034 came out this week, and I got the A and the B cover. Batman has been a steady favorite character for me, so I'm always willing to give it a try and pick him up. And so I've been picking up Batman and started recently with Detective, and it's alright. Avengers, Curse of the Man-Thing. Man-Thing is an underutilized character, and I'll tell you the thing that got my attention for this has just been picking up a couple of his older bronze keys, and then now this, and then this Patrick Gleason variant for this. It was just too cool to pass up. It was such a cool looking cover, and I really liked it, and decided I like this one better than the Spider-Man one, so picked those two up. Bite Size #4. This is the final issue. This is a very kid-friendly, kid-centric. So if you have a younger child, like I'd say 10ish down to and down, that would be a really good title for them. So it's a more family-friendly one. I haven't read the 4th, so I'm not sure. I don't think there's like any. In the first couple issues, there hasn't been anything negative or bad that you wouldn't want your kids to look at. Nuclear Family #2 came out this week, and that's an interesting title. I'm looking forward to reading 2 and maybe give you a recommendation on it later. Department of Truth, highly recommended. I got the cover A and B, and this, this standalone. This was issue 7 that came out, and it was just solid. It's continuing to be solid. I think Tynion, whatever he touches, James Tynion, the fourth, whatever he touches ends up being a solid, well-written story. And Department of Truth, that standalone issue that gives some backstory and history, was well worth picking up. And I thought the inclusion of the aluminum foil hats was a nice touch. So I was really kudos to Tynion and some of the stuff he's doing. It's a fantastic title, so I recommend it. It's starting to pick up, but you can still find copies, raw copies, for fairly affordably. I've seen some go for as low as $15 for cover A and B of issue number 1. So you can, and if you just want to buy it for reading, you can get the later printings. They're doing mass or later printings of all the issues. So 4th, 5th printing, you can get it for cover price, and I recommend it. It's a good title. It's a good read. Origins. This is one that hasn't really done, or hasn't really, I think, made a lot of waves, but I've been enjoying it. It's a dystopian future clone kind of dramatic piece, and I'm enjoying it. I think there's some cool stuff going on in it. That's issue 5. I haven't read 5, and I'm looking forward to 6 coming out. But I've been picking up covers A and B of each issue, just one set, just for my personal collection, because I like science fiction stuff. Here's a couple of older books. Well, okay, the biggest of the new books that came out this week was Shadecraft. This made a lot of people's radars because of the Netflix announcement. So I got 3 of cover A and then 3 of cover B. And the reason I did that was because it had some cool vibes, and I really liked the ending. I don't want to give it away here, but I will say that the issue 1 is worth picking up, because I think issue 1 is going to tell you enough about where they could go with the story that it's going to let you know whether or not you want to stick around for it. And for me, I always spec on story. If I feel like it's a really strong story with compelling characters, I'm going to buy into it. So I do recommend it if you can still find a copy. I don't know that I would pay more than $10 for a copy right now for like a brand new book that just came out. Because I don't know if those prices. I paid less than cover price for the ones that I got. So it's up to you where you can find them and whether or not how much you want to spend on the first issue. But I do think it's a good solid read. And like I said, the ending. The small revelation at the end of issue 1 was enough to make me psyched to stick with it at least through issue 5 or 6, the first, kind of the first story arc for it. A couple of other older books. My LCS is awesome. They got me another copy of We Live number 5. My son loves this book, and so we had been picking up copies of it before issue 5 came out. There was a big revelation in issue 5 and a letter from the creators about what they're going to do with the characters moving forward. So it really caused the book to spike, and I was seeing copies for $30 and $40 of issue number 5 because it's like a first appearance of the next evolution. So from a story perspective, I think it's worth it. And again, I probably would not have gotten as deep into it if my son hadn't been into it. He's 16 and he really enjoys it. And so the story and the art and the music that goes with it, which I really liked also. It's a comic book with a soundtrack. I mean, that's just really interesting, and I really like what they did with it. It's recommended to go and pick it up. Whenever you can find first printings of any of the first 5 issues, I would go and do it. They are going to be bringing it back. I don't know if it's going to be the same title or not, but they are going to be bringing the characters and the storyline and the world back for a bigger next portion. Let's see. Batman number 96. I found a couple copies of cover B, the variant, and then a couple copies of cover A of annual number 5, which is the origin of Clown Hunter, and 96, the one I just showed, is the first appearance of Clown Hunter. I think he's a neat character, and I think he could show up again. So last 2 from my LCS that I picked up was Nova number 1, where he's rocking a fantastic mullet, and it's a gold foil cover, and I couldn't pass that up for a couple bucks. And then and if you watch my G.I. Joe spec video, you've heard about this one, G.I. Joe number 59. And again, for $5 and a 9.2 or better, which this is definitely a better, I couldn't pass it up. It's the first appearance of Jinx, Blind Master, Tunnel Rat, and the bird guy on the front raptor, which I think the cover is probably why a lot of people don't go for this one, but you know, ignore the bird guy and get it for the cool first appearances. And I mean, even though it is a bird guy, it's first, you know, it's a Michael Zeck cover. How can you go wrong? So those are from the LCS. All right, so here we are with the Facebook claim sale stack of books. This is, like I said, an accumulation of about 3 or 4 weeks worth of books, and then the seller shipped them along with some freebies. So let's take a look. I got another copy of Deep Beyond Cover A number 1. This is from several weeks ago. Story has been okay, but had still picked that up. For some reason, I am picking up a bunch of copies of Miles Morales Spider-Man number 23. And I don't think there's anything about it. It's just in different sales I keep grabbing copies of it, not realizing that I have a copy of it already. So I have, like, I think 5 or 6 now. Black Friday was a pretty neat premise that came up, and so I went ahead and picked up 2 covers for it, and am looking forward to reading it, even though I haven't read it yet, but I'm very much excited about seeing what that's about. Black Cotton is another one that I'm looking forward to sitting down and reading. It's one of these books that just has a really interesting premise, and I want to see where they're going to go with it. Hollow Heart, I think this is the cover A, and then this variant homage to the ROM number 1 cover I thought was pretty neat, so I picked those up. That's another on my to read. Also, Fear Case number 1. Matt Kent is writing a lot of good stuff. I think the big thing he's writing right now is that he's also writing. He wrote ENIAC number 1 from Bad Idea, and that's made a lot of waves for the first printing of it. And so I enjoyed ENIAC number 1, so I picked up Fear Case because it was by the same writer. And he's got other stuff too. I think he might have been like the co-writer or something on Berserker, but I'm not 100% sure. Don't at me in the comments. Radiant Black. I didn't have enough of the blanks for this one, so I went ahead and picked these up. Those are always good. A blank, for those who don't know, a blank. This is essentially, it's the comic book, but it's a blank white cover, and the reason why there's a blank cover is so that you can, and it's matte, it's not glossy, and the reason for that is so that you can take it to a convention, or you can send it off to your favorite artist and have them do their own drawing and artwork on a cover. And you can either get it graded and slabbed, which will be verified, or authenticated, or you can just keep it raw. And it's, sketch covers are neat because it allows you to have, like I said, have your favorite creator do a picture for you that's original to you, and nobody else is going to have that copy. And so that's something that you can do that's personal and that's neat. Radiant Black, so this is the 1 in 50 variant, and I was able to get this for a solid price from the seller. And just such a cool looking cover that I didn't want to pass it up. I wanted to add it to my Radiant Black stack, and then somehow I ended up with Deep Beyond, another blank cover for them, or for that issue. That's issue number 1. Future State, I've got Wonder Woman number 2 with the gorgeous Jenny Frison cover. That's here for the new, I think, the new Wonder Girl, and then second prints of. Let's see, this is Future State Batman issue number 2, issue number 1, and then the Wonder Woman second printing number 1. These are all, these are all second prints. The design variants for second prints for this line. Here's the deal with Future State. I think these characters I think they're gonna get utilized, even though they were not my favorite iterations of these characters. I still think they're worth picking up if you can get them for cover price. What we saw with New 52 is that even though those lines were short-lived, those characters were utilized later, and they did come back later in some other form or fashion. I think Future State, while the stories were not like amazing, I do think it's something that's worth picking up again for cover price or less, and just keeping in a box and seeing what happens with them. If they decide to come back to them, then you have those books that you can refer back to. And I do think, I mean, I wouldn't go heavy on them. Like, I wouldn't get 10 copies of anything, but I do think that it's worth picking up. Also, as previously mentioned, for some reason I have a ton of Miles Morales number 23s. This is the Black History Month variant. I love the artwork, but I've got like 6 copies of it. So I'm at Carl's Collects Comics on Instagram. If you're looking for a copy of that one, if you somehow missed out on it, I've got you covered. Amazing Spider-Man number 47. This variant, just beautiful painted cover, and I saw it and I think it was really inexpensive, so I went ahead and picked it up. I'm going to put that with my Spider-Gwen, my first appearance of Spider-Gwen slab. I've got a couple of bigger variants here. This is Something is Killing the Children. I think this is like number 13. Really cool Peach Momoko artwork. It's a version variant, and I was able to snag it. Like I said, it's first come, first serve on claim sales. So if you don't grab it first, somebody else will get it. Star Wars, The High Republic number 2. This is the 1 in 25 variant. Everywhere that I was seeing this book, it was $60 or more. I was fortunate enough to get a variant, to get the 1 in 25 for issue number 1 variant, well, at cover price, basically. But issue number 2, I did pay a bit more, but I wanted to go ahead and have it to fill out at least the first story arc for High Republic. The story's been alright. I recommend picking them up because anything that Marvel has published is going to be fair game for all the Disney shows that are coming down the pipe. Anything that Dark Horse published, while Marvel does own the rights to everything Star Wars now, I don't know that they're going to go back to the Dark Horse material, even though there's some really spectacular Dark Horse material, and I do recommend picking this stuff up. And there's a lot of good stories in there. I think while they might pull elements from it and possibly even some characters, I don't think they're going to go all in on that. I think they're going to stick with stuff that was produced under Marvel. And so there's a lot of new stuff, and the High Republic is a whole new era that's far removed from the Skywalker saga. So it's a good one to pick up. The other big one, and here's a quick hint, High Republic Adventures is the kids line for the same story world that's being produced, and I think it's IDW is the publisher for that one. Pick those up. Nobody's paying attention to them right now, but as we've seen time and again, just because it's published for kids or the kids line or an offshoot of a main title, it doesn't mean that it's not going to be become a big key later on in the future. And issue number 1 of High Republic Adventures, you should, if you're a Star Wars person or if you're speccing in any way, shape, or form on Star Wars, you absolutely need to have a couple of copies of High Republic Adventures issue number 1 in your short box. Speaking of Star Wars, here's Darth Maul number 1 variant cover, and Jedi Fallen Order Dark Temple number 1. So just a couple of back issues there. Now here comes what I think. I'm almost more excited for these than I am for the actual stacks that I bought. It's the freebies. A copy or a variant cover for Wolverine number 10. Variant cover for Venom number 27. One of the variants for Dark Knight's Death Metal number 7. I didn't have this variant. I only had, I think, a couple of the cover A's. And then Batman Catwoman number 1. This is DC Black Label imprint. and by Tom King. I had not picked up any of them, but I'm looking forward to reading that one because I hadn't checked it out. And then last one, this was the most fun and just the coolest, I think, freebie that I've ever gotten. This is a variant cover that is autographed. I'll let you see that. It's autographed by the very talented Adam Hughes. And it is a Hughes cover with Black Cat and J. Jonah Jameson, and I mean it's fantastic. So I am so excited and over the moon that the seller, who shall remain nameless because he wanted to remain anonymous for the video, but he knows who he is. He's awesome. He's great, and for all of his clients and people who are buying from him, man, all of us are just really fortunate to have somebody like him because he always takes care of us. The books are always in immaculate condition, and he's cool. He's awesome. So hey, this has been episode 2 of Monday Hauls, and I've gotten to share some stuff with you and a couple of recommendations. And again, as always, fun hanging out with you. Make sure to hit that like button and also leave a comment. Let me know if there's anything that you picked up that I missed out on, or anything that I picked up that you said, hey, I want to go check that out. So until next time, keep reading those comics.